Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello, my name is Dr. Himanshu Tyagi and I am teaching this course on heat and mass transfer. Let us continue where we have left off last time, and we are continuing with the section of fundamental of radiations. So, let us go to the slide, and today is lecture number 31. So, let us first look at the recap of what we did last time. So, this is the spectral black body emissive power. I will come back to this in a little moment. Then we have looked at the black body function as well. This is the electromagnetic wave spectrum. I think we did it earlier. So, last time what we had looked at is there a way we can figure out what is the amount of fraction of radiation emitted by a black body in particular wavelength band. And this was really interesting because we wanted to look at some real life applications such as the incandescent bulb. So, it is not bulk BULK, it is bulb. I will write it BULB. So, there is a spelling mistake. And what we want to do is figure out that within particular wavelength bands how much energy is being emitted. So, I think this is what we did last time, and we figured out that the old fashioned incandescent bulb have very low efficiency of the order of 3 or 4%. We also did similar calculations for the sun, and there we figured out that large amount of spectra is actually in the visible spectrum. Then I introduced a new topic which will be very important when we come at it today. So, I looked at certain cases. So, this is something we will look at today. So, we looked at the fundamentals of solid angles, and we derived, so we represent solid angles with the symbol omega, and for a whole sphere that value turns out to be 4 pi as given on the bottom right hand side over here. So, we looked at the analysis behind it, that how is the solid angle defined for a small surface area ds. So, it is simply ds divided by r square, which is shown in this graph over here. Then we defined these two angles, zenith angle and azimuth angle, given by theta and phi. And then we did the derivation for that particular angle d omega by considering it in more detail. So, this is the schematic given over here. So, where we have considered this small area which I have represented by a polygon PQRS, and it figures out it is very close to a rectangle. So, we just multiply the two sides to get area, and from where we get this particular definition of d omega. So, any small solid angle can be represented in terms of either ds by r square, which is the small area divided by the square, the distance to it, or we can represent it in the terms of azimuth and zenith angles as sin theta, d theta, d phi. And these angles theta and phi will become very important today, because we are going to introduce a new concept of radiation intensity. So, one example I had given yesterday. So, let us now go ahead with radiation intensity. It is very interesting concept, and it will help us understand all those examples we had looked at earlier, which I can come back now over here. That if we have two surfaces given over here as surface 1, I will highlight it in black, and surface 2. So, they can be in different positions, different orientations. So, we considered 4 cases A, B, C and D, and in all 4 cases what we would want is how much of that radiation emitted from surface 1 having this area and this temperature actually reaches surface 2, which has a certain area, and the distance between them is also known. So, we want to find out in case A, which is the simplest case, where both the surfaces are facing one another. So, if the bottom surface is like this, so we have a top surface on top, and we want to figure out how much of that radiation reaches that particular surface. Then what happens if we double that distance? Instead of d, if it becomes 2d, then we will figure out. Then what if the distance remains 2d, but now it is tilted, instead of being parallel to one another, now it is actually tilted like this. And then finally case D, we will look that it is not at that theta equals to 0 position, now it is at a new theta over here. So, it is tilted and it is kind of rotated as well. So, all these cases we will be able to solve by introducing this new concept of radiation intensity, and this makes use of solid angle. That is why we had defined solid angles before we went over there. So, let us go ahead and look at the interesting topic for today, which is radiation intensity. This is represented by the symbol I, and let us consider it for first case, because this I we will figure out can be of many cases. If I put the subscript E, it will be for emitted. If I put it for I, it will be for incident. I can put R over here, then it will be for reflected. So, let us start with the first case over here. This will be where we are talking about the emitted radiation intensity. So, how do we do that? Let us take a very small area dA. So, I have a flat surface over here and its center is that point over there. Let me put it at the origin of the xy coordinate. So, this is my xyz coordinate over here, and this surface, let me color it for clarity. So, I am going to color it green over here. So, this surface area is very small and I assume that it is equal to dA. It is a small differential area. Now, what I want to do is I take a particular direction. So, let me take this direction over here, and how will I define this particular direction in the polar coordinates? The first way is to define the distance, but I am not going to do that for now, but I will go ahead and define the zenith angle is theta. So, if it was something is overhead a particular surface, if this is a surface over here, I can draw the normal to the surface. Maybe I will pick another color just to illustrate this point. So, I have this white pen which is shown normal to this particular surface. So, anything which is normal to it has angle theta equals to 0. Now, if I want to make theta 10 degree or 20 degree, then I have to rotate it in a particular direction over here. If let us say theta becomes 90 degree, then this whole thing will be horizontal over here. If theta is 180 degree, then it goes in the reverse direction. So, that is where theta goes from 0 to pi by 2 to pi over here. So, in this particular case, if we go back to the slide, what we can clearly see is I am taking some general angle theta. So, this point over here, let me take a projection of this point on the xy plane. So, let us say the projection turns out over here. Okay. I hope everybody understands what do I mean by projection. So, let me connect it with the origin over here. Now, my azimuth angle is this angle phi over here. Okay. And how much can it vary? So, theta first of all I will write, theta varies between 0 to pi, and phi we can see over here, it can actually turn all around, which means if I go back to my example over here, I have again a black surface in my hand. I will tilt it a little bit, then the normal to it is over there. The projection to the normal will lie as a horizontal line over here. So, if this is my x axis, how much can my pen rotate? It can go all the way over here, it becomes 180, then 270, then 360. It has come back to me, isn't it? I will do it again. If the angle is 0 along the x axis, that projection is shown like this, then projection becomes 90 degree, 180 degree, 270 degree, and then 360 degree, which means I can turn it in a full circle. So, its range is 0 to 2 pi like that. Now, let me define a solid angle over here. So, in order to define a solid angle, I have to create a small surface ds, and let me connect this particular point over here. So, this conical shape which I am seeing over here, that solid angle I am defining as d omega. And since I am talking about the emitted radiation intensity, so what I am going to show is that the emissions are taking place from surface dA, and this electromagnetic wave is going like this. So, in this particular direction, I will write this term as IE. E stands for emitted. The subscript E is for emitted, and what is it a function of? So, right now it will be a function of two things. The one is the zenith angle theta, the other one is the azimuth angle phi. So, let me write the relationship for this now. So, what I am going to write is what is this thing equal to. So, first let me write down the definition for this. So, this formally is known as the radiation intensity for emitted radiation. And what is it going to be equal to? So, let me first write the expression for that. It is equal to the rate of heat transfer emitted. So, I am writing d q dot E divided by the projected area of this particular small differential element A. If I was just taking the area, then it would be dA. If I have to take the projected area, what do I mean by projected area? Let me go back to the example I have taken over here. If this area of the black surface over here is, let us say, 10 centimeter square. So, I think you can see the full area now, because that surface is normal to the camera now. But let us say if I tilt it, then the students sitting at home are not seeing 10 centimeter square, they are seeing less and less. And if I make it like this, then the area that you are seeing is 0, because the whole surface is in the same direction at which you are viewing, which means I can multiply it by cos theta. If cos theta here is theta is 0, then cos theta is 1, you are seeing the full area A. If the angle becomes 45 degree, then the viewing is become less. So, it will be A into cos 45, and when it is like this, then it has actually become cos 90, which is 0. So, then you see 0 area on the projected surface. So, I can show the projected area can be given by this term per unit solid angle. Now, this thing I can define over here. So, then the whole thing I can write as maybe. So, what I am going to do is define this thing over here. So, I can write this whole expression actually gives me what? It gives the rate at which radiation energy, which is the numerator d q dot E, is emitted in a particular direction, which I am writing as the theta phi direction, per unit area but it is not area, it is the area normal to this direction. So, it is per unit area normal to this direction, which is why we have this cos theta component over here, and we have another per unit solid angle. So, I will write it over here, per unit solid angle. In that direction. Which means the units for this particular thing, whole thing will turn out to be watts per meter square, because the numerator is watt, denominator first term is meter square. What is the second term? Solid angle. So, I will put sterradians over here. Now, I will read it once again. What is this definition is giving is the definition of I e theta phi, whose name is the emitted radiation intensity. So, this is defined as simply this term over here, dq dot, which is the rate of energy, divided by dA cos theta, which is per unit area normal to the direction, and divided by d omega, which is the per unit solid angle. So, in the numerator we have watts, denominator we have meter square and sterradian, okay, which means I can actually write it as one more thing over here. I can introduce the expression for d omega. You remember d omega was what? D omega was simply sin theta d theta d phi, which means I can go ahead and express it in these terms over here. I can write this is q dot E dA cos theta, which is the first term, and the second term is sin theta d theta d phi. And this is actually, and on the left hand side I will write this is equal to I e theta phi. So, this equation is actually very powerful. So, I will put a red boundary around it, and it will help us understand one or two concepts very nicely. For that I will use the next slide. I hope this concept is clear with the help of this diagram over here. How will we use it? May be sounding little complicated to student, but let me put it in simple terms, that what is this red star equation over here, what it really tells me. Okay. So, maybe I will move to the next slide. So, what this equation tells me, let me ask the student in this example over here. So, let me draw very quickly another surface over here. This surface I am giving area is A1, it is a small area. Then I go some distance r over here, right, and I put another surface over here. This surface area is A2. The original surface temperature has T1. Okay. Now, this angle over here is theta 1, this particular thing over here is phi 1. This surface itself is not normal to this particular line. So, there is another angle over here is theta 2, area we have given. Okay. I think these are the parameters that are given to us. So, let me put this question in the this particular diagram in the form of a question, that how much energy which is leaving the surface 1 is able to reach surface 2, and that is the question mark, and this I want in terms of watts. So, for this particular example I need two surfaces. So, let me go to the video mode, and what I am going to ask the student is, let us say this is my surface A1 which I have put at the origin. So, it is horizontal, it is put on the horizon over there. Then I have another surface over here which appears white. If it were right on top of one another, things will be very simple. So, I am going to pull it to a distance r apart, then move it around on the circle r, and then tilt it a little bit over here, which means I am asking that from the black surface, which is surface number 1, how much energy is emitting, because it is having a certain temperature T1, which is reaching the surface 2. So, the answer will be complicated, but I am asking this in terms of what variables will that answer be a function of, which means q dot 1 2 will depend on which variables over here. So, I am not asking the students that give me the final answer, I am just asking what are the variables that it will be a function of. In other words, if this answer turns out to be 2 watts, in order to make it 3 watts, what are the things that I can change? So, I go back to my example over here. If this is giving out energy in all directions, maybe it is giving out 200 watts which is going everywhere. Out of that 200 watt, 1% is hitting this particular white surface over here, 1% of 200 is 2 watts, but I want to make it 3 watt, let us say. Then what are the things that I can change? One thing I can do is, I can bring it closer over here, and I think all students will immediately recognize, if I bring it closer, then more energy is going to hit this particular surface, which means the first variable I am going to write in my fraction over here is, it will depend on this radius r, isn't it? What is the other thing it can depend on? We go back to the video mode. If I increase this white surface area, let me open this surface like this. If I make it double, now you see it has become double. If I make it double, then at the same distance itself, more radiation will hit it, isn't it? Which means it will depend on A2 also. Then another thing maybe I can do is, I can double the surface A1. So, over here I have some sort of increased its surface, make it double. So, it has now become twice of A1. Then this has also doubled, this has also doubled, which means it should also depend on A1. If I increase A1, it will increase q dot 1 2. If I increase A2, it will also increase. If I reduce R, it will also increase. What about theta 1? Both have doubled their surface, but it is lying somewhere over here. If it become normal to it, I think the radiation may increase. I think students will understand that, right? If I am sitting directly in front of a surface, so in front of me there is a television screen. If I am sitting directly in front of it, the viewing angle is better rather than if I go and sit near the side over there, then I will get only a fraction of the radiation coming from there, which means it also depends on theta 1. It may also depend on theta 2. How? We go back to this particular thing. Even if I make theta 1 equals to 0, if it is like this surface, but theta 2 can also vary, right? If theta 2 is, let us say 45 degree, then the amount of energy which is hitting this white surface will be less. If it become 90 degree, then it will be 0. If it is 0 degree theta 2, then it will be maximum, which means it will also be a function of theta 2. And what else is remaining? Are these only these 5 variables? So, let the students think. I think there is a 6th variable also. There should be 6th variable. What do you think should be the 6th variable? What about T1? If somehow we are able to convince surface 1 that originally you were at 400 Kelvin, let us say, and that surface itself temperature increases 500 to 600 Kelvin, then definitely the amount of energy which is hitting surface 2 will increase, which means to my understanding these are the 6 variables which are going to lead to change in q dot 1 2 over here. Do the students understand this concept? Now, some of them by increasing q dot 1 can decrease, which means if I increase the radius, if I increase the distance between them, then q dot 1 2 will reduce. In fact, by reducing the distance, if I bring the two surfaces closer to one another, then more energy will come from surface 1 to surface 2. So, this is the correct answer over here, and what I am going to show over there is, if you remember these 6 variables, all those 6 are actually inside this particular equation, and we will see it very soon how all those 6 are inside over here. Okay? I hope the concept is clear. So, we will see that in just a minute, but let me define one more parameter first, then we will come to all these 6 variables. So, we will put a blue star over here, double star, and then we will try and see how did we get that particular expression. But first, let us define one more variable which is very critical, and that variable is the emissive power. So, let me recap. Till now we have defined I e theta lambda, which I can call the emitted radiation intensity. And somebody asked what is its units. So, this is watts per meter square divided by per steradian. So, this is the rate at which energy is being emitted, that is numerator, per unit normal area in that direction, per unit solid angle. Okay. Now, I am going to define another variable parameter which is known as the emissive power. And I will give a hint, we have already looked at it in Stephen-Boltzmann law, where we put a subscript B over there, and this turned out to be this. In the Stephen-Boltzmann law, that is what was the emissive power, but instead of calling it emissive power, we were calling it as black body emissive power, and that is why we put this subscript B over there. So, I will put it in red, we put it B in red because we are dealing with black body. So, it is the same subscript over there. So, this one let me also define. So, this is defined as the rate at which, the units for this will be watts per meter square, that is the units, rate at which radiation energy is emitted per unit area of the emitting surface, which means there are two ways in which I can write I e and so I will write IE versus capital E, that they differ. One is that over here we have talked about the projected area or the area normal to the, and here we have not talked about projected area, here we are talking about actual area. And the second one is, this is per unit solid angle, that is why there is a stir radian, and here there is no mention of solid angle. So, this one units turn out to be watts per meter square per stir radian, and there the units is watts per meter square. I will put a dot in between. So, here I am just comparing IE versus capital E, and what I am going to do now very nicely is come up with the relationship between them, and the relationship we can come up just by with this particular definition over here. So, what I am going to do is write the expression for dE. So, if you can read from here. So, in the blue I have written over a rate at which radiation energy. So, that rate is Q dot QE d Q dot E per unit area of the emitted surface. That is it. It is as simple as this. So, say dE is simply dQ dot divided by dA, right? And where did we have dQ dot in the last slide? Here we are having dQ dot, which means I can substitute this long expression over there. Then what will I get? I will get IE theta phi numerator into dA into cos theta into d omega. That was my numerator, right? Divided by dA, which means it has turned out it is simply equal to IE theta phi cos theta d omega. Okay. And d omega I can write in full form as it is simply IE theta phi cos theta sin theta d theta d phi. Why have I written it in long form over here? Because this whole thing is simply d omega. So, this we have already figured out 2 slides back. So, this is the on the left hand side is the differential emissive power. E is the emissive power, and when we are taking dE, we are taking small amount of emissive power. Now, let us try and integrate this for certain cases, which means this is for a particular small area. Let us try and find out what do we get for the whole hemisphere. What I mean by that is, I want to figure out over here that this particular small area is emitting in the whole hemisphere. So, how am I going to draw the hemisphere? So, let me draw it in this way. So, this what I have tried to draw is a hemisphere over here. This is my x, y and z direction. What I want to do is figure out the value of E for the whole hemisphere. In order to find that out, I have to integrate dE over the whole solid angle from 0 to which value. So, that question I will ask the students, that for a sphere the full solid angle was omega was how much? 4 pi, and units were stir radian. Then for a hemisphere, what do we get? We get omega will be 2 pi stir radian, which means over here my limit will be, this will be 2 pi. Is this point clear? That I am trying to calculate the emissive power in the whole hemisphere from that particular small surface over here. The surface is dA and its temperature is known to me as temperature is T. Only then it is emitting. So, it has to have a finite temperature. I want to figure it out for the whole hemisphere, which means I can go ahead and integrate this green star equation over here. Can I do that? Let us do it on the next slide. So, what I am going to do is integrate this green star equation. In order to get E hemisphere, I can write it is simply dE over the whole hemisphere where DE from the last page I am having the expression, I can write over here, that expression is IE theta comma phi sin theta cos theta d theta d phi. So, now I will ask the question to student that actually I am doing a double integration. Why? Because I have d theta and d phi. So, I have to put two integral in front of it. So, one I am integrating theta and in one I am integrating phi. For theta, what are the limits for the hemisphere? So, the way I put it is from 0 to pi by 2. And what is the limits for phi for a hemisphere? It is 0 to 2 pi. I hope this concept is clear, because when we are looking in the hemisphere in this particular direction over here, this is my x, y and z. So, phi has to be full, but theta is simply from here to here. So, here is theta equals to 0, here theta is 90 degree. And inside a hemisphere, how many phi angles we will have? So, phi has to go from phi equals to 0 over here all the way till here, and there phi is 360 degree. So, for a hemisphere, phi will go from 0 to 360 or 0 to 2 pi in radians, and theta will go from 0 to pi by 2 or 90 degree. Now, what will be the answer after doing this double integral? Now, we have to put certain assumptions or conditions. Why? There is no way I can perform this double integral unless two conditions happen. One is that I can assume I to be constant, then I can bring I outside that particular integral. If I is not constant, then I need to know the emitted radiation intensity expression as a function of theta and phi. So, let us consider the first case where I am going to make an assumption that I is constant. So, the assumption is I e theta phi is simply a constant I e, which I can write as a constant over here. Now, let me ask the student a question: in what case the emitted radiation intensity is constant? How do I show it graphically? First of all, let me try and draw that. So, I am going to show over here, this is my z direction. So, if this is surface over here, let me draw it another color. If I have a red surface which I am seeing the side view, so it looks like a line. It is emitting equal intensity in all the directions, which means it will look like a semicircle over here. So, I am drawing the 2D view. If I draw the 3D view, it will appear like a hemisphere over here. So, we have a red surface over here, it is emitting blue radiation, just the blue color to represent it in all directions over here, here, here and here inside the hemisphere. So, all are equal, which means the technical name I can give over here is that this is a diffuse emission, and by definition we are having the black body is something. So, I will put the arrow in the other way around, because all black bodies are diffuse emitters. So, by definition black body is something which is emitting uniformly in all the direction. Reverse may or may not be true. Any body which is emitting diffusely in all the direction may or may not be a black body, but the forward direction it is correct. That is why I have changed the direction of this particular arrow over here. So, if it is a black body, then it is a diffuse emitter. That is just an example. Now, can I put that assumption over here and perhaps solve this particular equation? Let me go ahead and do that. So, let me go ahead and solve. So, I am solving for E for the hemisphere, which will now turn out to be I is a constant, I bring it outside, then I am just doing two integral for theta and phi, sin theta, cos theta, d theta, d phi. So, let me do that integral quickly over here. I think students will remember I can write it as sin 2 theta divided by 2. So, that 2 also I will take outside. So, it becomes I e divided by 2 and theta and phi d theta d phi. So, there is no phi in this particular function, phi will also come outside. So, this will become I e into pi, and then I do this particular integral sin 2 theta d theta, and this thing will give me 1. So, the final answer will turn out to be. So, I encourage the students, please do this integral themselves and come up with this very simplified expression yourself. So, I will put a black star over here, and it is very interesting that where is the 2 gone? Why were we expecting 2? Because in the hemisphere the solid angle is 2 pi, but when I am integrating E in the whole hemisphere, I am getting I, which is a constant emitted radiation intensity, into pi. So, there is a factor of half which is hidden inside this particular integral. Once you do it yourself, you will figure it out that where it has gone. But this is a very nice equation that we have got by assuming this particular assumption. So, I will highlight it in red color over here. So, this is the assumption that we are making, that all the emissions from this particular surface over here is diffuse, and that is what we get very nicely over here, which means I can go ahead and write the next assumption. So, I am picking up this blue star equation from here and I am taking it to the next slide, and what I am going to write is that for black body I can clearly write, because this expression I have get for diffuse body, and black body is always diffuse. So, I will put a subscript b over here. This small subscript b stands for black body. And if students remember, what is the value of E b? From Stephen Boltzmann law, we have already got this value. What was that value? It is simply sigma t to the power 4. Please remember all these things, the units also we can check. This equation units is watts per meter square, here also it is watts per meter square, which means this IEB, or I can write in short form IB, is simply EB divided by pi, which is the black body emissive power. What is E? Capital E, please remember it again, capital E is emissive power. So, it is simply emissive power divided by pi, and emissive power for black body is simply sigma t to the power 4 by pi. Isn't it beautiful? And now I can write the expression for this units as well. What will be the units here? It was emissive power and the denominator is solid angle. So, we will get watts per meter square into star radians over here. And this is very interesting and important equation. So, let me put 2 green stars over here. All this exercise what we have done till now will now be able to help us actually put numbers on those 4 cases that we had talked earlier about. What was those 4 cases? A, B, C and D, where we again had 2 surfaces. If they are on top of one another some distance apart, what is the amount of heat really going from here hitting this surface? Then we can move it here, here, and in all directions. Now we have reached that particular mathematical skill where we can solve it. So, let us go ahead and do that solved example. So, the solved example I am talking about. Now, it will give us lot of interesting result. So, we have a solid surface over here. So, instead of drawing a square, I am drawing it side view. So, this is a square of area A1, and let me consider it a small area about 2 centimeters square. Its temperature is about 500 Kelvin. Then it is emitting radiation in all directions. So, it is going, it is a diffuse emitter. So, in all direction it is emitting equally. So, this is surface 1. Let me give it the blue color. Then we have another surface over here which is kind of not blue but red, and this is at some distance away from here, some distance which is known to us. So, let us say it is at this particular point over here. Okay. And instead of being normal at that point, at that surface had been normal, it would have looked like this. So, I am not making it normal, I am giving it certain tilt. So, I am going to give it this tilt over here. So, I will erase this particular line. So, this is my surface, this was surface 1 over here, this is surface number 2. And I know some values about surface 2 as well, and I know its area. It is even smaller than surface 1. So, its area is 1 centimeter square. And the other things that I know are both the angles over here. So, I have the first angle over here, this is theta 1. So, theta 1 value I know is about 30 degrees, and there is another angle over here which is theta 2, and theta 2 value also I know is 20 degrees. So, before I solve, and what I want to calculate over here is the same question that I have asked for long time is, what is the rate at which energy leaving surface 1 is striking surface 2? How many watts is able to leave surface 1 and strike surface 2? Just to give an illustration to students, that what would happen if theta 1 and theta 2 both were 0 degree, then what would be the configuration like? Then this blue surface will be here and then red surface will be directly on top of it. This is the simplest case. So, I am not taking the simplest case, this would have been the surface number 1 and this would be surface number 2. So, if some student is facing difficulty knowing what is the normal area, projected area, please revise these angles little bit slowly yourself, then you will be able to figure out what is going on over here. So, the two things that I want to calculate in this particular question is part A and part B is, what is the angle which is sustained, the solid angle which is subtended by surface 2 when viewed from surface 1, which means what is this particular omega over here, or in this case what is this particular omega over here. What is the value of this small solid angle d omega. So, we will start with the second part first. So, let us go ahead and find out the value of omega 2 1 and what expression should I use over here. So, this is a question I want to ask the students. One thing I forgot to write, the area, the distance between them, the distance is actually very large. So, they are separated by, compared to their dimensions, which is 1 centimeter square and 2 centimeter square, the distance which is separating them, that r value is very large, which means I can make this assumption that the surface area of the body number 2 is very small compared to the square of the radius. Then I can directly write this particular relationship, which means the solid angle subtended by body 2 when viewed by body 1 is simply the projected area of body 2 divided by r square. Now, what is the projected area? The area projected by surface 2, it would be proportional to A2, which is its own surface area, into cos theta 2, which means if theta 2 value, which right now is 20 degree, had it been 0 degree, then the whole 1 centimeter square will be projected over there. But because it is tilted at an angle of 20 degree, we have to multiply by cos 20 degree, and the denominator will be simply r square, which means if I have a calculator, I can plug in these values. This will be 1 centimeter square multiplied by cos 20 degrees divided by 50 centimeter square, 50 square centimeter square. So, I can calculate this using a calculator. So, I think that answer turns out to be 3.76 into 10 to the power minus 4 stir radians. This is the units that we are using over here. And we can see this indeed has turned out to be a very small value. So, this one we have calculated. Now, what is the value of q dot 1 to 2? How will we calculate it? So, if I ask the students, is there a way I can calculate this particular thing? Perhaps we will go back a little bit and we can either use this equation over here, or we can use this expression for I e that we have figured out, and let us try and see what do we get like over here. So, So, I am going to write the basic equation first, which is simply that I e theta phi was dq dot divided by the projected area per unit solid angle, right, which means dq dot will turn out to be simply I e theta phi dA cos theta into d omega. Now, let me go ahead and figure out these terms. The last term is d omega, this we have already calculated over here. So, this value we know. What is dA cos theta? So, over here we already have the value of area. So, I will write it as A1 and cos theta 1, which means this value we also know. What is this last thing? That is I e theta phi. So, how I will calculate this value, which is the emitted radiation intensity. So, I will recall to the student that assumption which was given over here, that information that it is A is a diffuse emitter. The surface A is diffuse emitter, which means if it is diffuse emitter, I can directly write I e as I b, because it becomes the black body radiation intensity emitted, and it is simply E b divided by pi, where E b is simply sigma T to the power 4 divided by pi. And this temperature I also know, which means this thing is also known to me. So, I know this thing also. So, what I am going to do is, I am going to plug all these three expressions which I have given over here on the next slide, which means on the next slide I can directly write q dot 1 to 2 is simply I e, instead of I e I will write I b d a 1 cos theta 1 into d omega, and this thing is simply sigma T to the power 4 is sigma T 1 to the power 4 pi area 1 d a 1 cos theta 1 d omega, and all these values are known to me. Sigma value is known, 5.67 into 10 power minus 8, T 1 to the power 4. So, what was the temperature we had assumed? 500 Kelvin. Pi value is known to me, 3.14. What is dA 1? I think it is 2 centimeter square. So, I will convert it into meter square into cos theta 1. What was the value of theta 1? 30 degree. So, we have cos 30 degree over here, multiplied by d omega. D omega we have also calculated already, 3.76 10 power minus 4. So, we get 3.76 into 10 power minus 4. All these things will turn out to be in watts, and that is what we wanted to figure out. So, all we need is a calculator and we get this particular value. So, students may check the particular calculation themselves. So, I can convert it into milliwatts because this is a very small amount. So, it turns out to be 0.073 milliwatts. So, just imagine very small amount is actually reaching that particular point, but what we can learn from there is that there are ways in which we can increase it further. So, in this particular calculation we have figured out what number of watts is actually emitted by this surface and it is reaching that surface. If I want to increase it by 10 times, what are the things that I can do? I can increase area A1 10 times, I can increase area 2 10 times, I can increase the temperature of the surface itself not 10 times, but such that the T raised power 4 is increased 10 times. Another thing I can do is I can reduce the distance between them in such a way that 1 by r square increases 10 times. So, I will have to reduce the area, the distance will go down, temperature will increase, this will increase, this will increase. Just by cos theta 1 or theta 2 I may not be able to increase it 10 times, but at least some fraction I will be able to do, which means both of them should be normal to one another instead of this being over here and then rotated over here. So, it should rotate back and then come over here. So, all these 6 variables that we have shown over here, which is what we had written earlier also, by manipulating this 6 variables, radiative transfer engineer can then figure out that how to actually increase or reduce the amount of heating going on from one surface to another. I hope this particular point is clear. If it is clear, let me go ahead and define one more very interesting parameter where I will introduce the word spectral again. So, I think students will remember whenever we are talking about the word spectral, it means related to wavelength. Which means I was having this emitted radiation intensity I e theta phi. Can I also have some sort of a spectral radiative intensity which is wavelength dependent? So, theta phi and lambda. And answer is of course yes, because any surface which is emitting in all the directions. So, this red surface over here, it is emitting in this direction and this direction. So, the total we can calculate in terms of area, that total will turn out to be E b. So, that is watts per meter square. We can also calculate it in terms of radiation which is left, which is watts. We can also calculate in a particular solid angle, let us say in this particular solid angle over here in d omega. How much is the emitted radiation intensity? That I e will turn out to be in watts per meter square star radian. And even within this particular radiation, I can ask that even in this solid angle, how much radiation is coming in the wavelength 0.3 micron, how much is coming in 0.1 micron, how much is coming in infrared 10 micron, which means then I will have this parameter, the spectral emitted radiation intensity, which will turn out to be star radian per micron. So, do not get confused, this is very interesting actually, that we can start taking things and making them more and more complicated. So, if I can take the arrows in this way, here it is just watts, I can put in terms of watts per meter square, then watts per meter square per star radian, then watts per meter square per star radian per micron. Which means if I start integrating it, then I will go in the reverse direction. I will go from watts per meter square per star radian per micron, then I integrated with the wavelength, then micron is gone, integrated with solid angle, star radian is gone, integrated with area, and everything except watts is remaining. So, I hope I have not confused any student. This is just a illustration I wanted to show. Now, let me repeat the whole thing formally. So, formally how do I define I e lambda? So, I will say spectral, or maybe I have space here, maybe here I will write. Now, I am making I e as I e lambda. So, spectral intensity. So, first let me write over here I e, or the way the books usually write is like this, I lambda e, and it is a function of lambda, theta and phi. And what we will get on the right hand side, that we have to figure out, and this term is known as the spectral intensity for emitted radiation, and that is this quantity over here. So, it will be ratio of d q dot, and just for completion's sake, let me also write this thing over here. What was I e theta and phi? It was simply d q dot divided by projected area per unit projected area per unit solid angle. Now, I will not write it over here, but I will ask the question to student that if I add this lambda over here, I have added the spectral nature as well per unit wavelength, then nothing will change over here, just I will divide by per unit wavelength, isn't it? So, the denominator will become, it will remain exactly the same. Do not worry with the complication, try to understand it. If you understand it, then it will not look complicated. All I am doing is putting this green thing extra, so it becomes d lambda, that is it. So, it is the rate at which energy is leaving that particular surface per unit projected area of the surface, per unit solid angle in which it is going, per unit wavelength. So, we are just creating one more extra thing over there. Now, we can write the units also. Units over here, numerator is watts, denominator meter square, star radian, very easy. Over here same thing, watts, meter square, star radian, then the green thing will be more additional, and that thing is wavelength is given in which units. So, usually we measure it in microns. So, this is per unit micron, that is it. So, if you look at the expression, it will turn out to be complicated, but if you have understood it in your mind that it is simply a spectral quantity, which means whatever we were doing earlier, same thing, but per unit wavelength. Now, I can even figure out the relationship between them, which means very quickly, if I understand things, I can write them very quickly, which means I e theta lambda, and what is the relationship between this and the spectral? I lambda e lambda theta phi. It is simply d lambda integral, that is it. So, I am integrating from lambda equals to 0 to lambda equals to infinity, I get the same quantity. It is just adding things together. Integration is simply summation, adding things together. I hope students are able to understand this till this particular point. I think we are almost reached the close of the lecture. So, let me do a very brief recap of what we have done today. So, we looked at very powerful parameter which is defined as the radiation intensity. The reason it is powerful is that having understood the fundamentals of thermal radiation, and second, having understood the concepts of solid angle, now we can use the parameter I instead of Q, and then figure out that in which direction how much radiation is emitted, and very soon we will figure out from which direction how much radiation is incident. For instance, if I am standing in the stadium during the daytime, then the predominant radiation which is hitting me is the solar energy from the sun. But if it is a day and night match, then during night time sun is gone, then I am looking at all the floodlights which are in the stadium. So, I will give exactly that example, and the same example is applicable in an indoor theater as well. So, if we are giving a performance over there, then there are lot of some spotlights which is hitting, and it is coming only from one direction over there. So, there we will not be able to make assumption of diffuse incident like we are having diffuse emission, and there things will become very, very interesting. So, this parameter I, which is radiation intensity, we have looked at it for the first concept, which is for emission today, and then later on we will also see it for incidence as well as reflection as well as combination of lot of these things, and it will become very interesting. So, with that I think I will wrap up today's lecture. Thank you.